Hi, I'm Sarah, a professional pool installer. Congratulations on having a Frog mineral purifying system installed on your pool. FROG stands for Fresh Reservoir Oxygenerator. No other purifier on the market today gives you a choice of two ways to have fresh, clean water in your family's pool, either totally chlorine-free or with just a low level of chlorine. We call FROG an eco-friendly system because it's naturally fresh and it's safer and easier to use. No smelly fumes or red eyes. Just set it and forget it. When installed right and operated correctly, FROG minimizes the time you spend on maintenance and maximizes the amount of time you have to enjoy your pool. The FROG mineral system is really easy to set up and maintain. It will take me just a few minutes to show you how to get it up and running efficiently. And your installer should have supplied you with an instruction manual. Refer to it if you have any questions after you watch this video. Now, let's get started. Exactly what is the mineral purifying system? It's a natural pool care system with 3 parts in one that requires no electricity to operate. The operation center of the system is the cycler. It's a water treatment center that controls the flow of water through the system. There are 2 types of cyclers, one for in-ground pools and another for above-ground pools. The difference between the two is simply the capacity and purifying power needed to handle different-sized pools. The operating procedures are the same for both models. Inside the cycler is a removable reservoir that holds the water purification minerals. The reservoir also holds the third part of the system, a replaceable pack. You'll insert a flow control pack into the reservoir if you don't want to use any chlorine, and a pre-filled low chlorine pack if you choose to use a small amount of chlorine to complete the purifying of your pool. The mineral purifying system does the same job in a pool that minerals do in wilderness water, making it feel softer and look sparkling clean. Here's how it works. Each of the system's unique mix of minerals plays a part in keeping your pool free from bacteria and algae, the 2 enemies of clean pools. Bacteria are attracted to the first mineral much the same way that metal shavings are attracted to a magnet. Bacteria attach themselves to this mineral inside the reservoir and are eliminated. The second mineral serves a dual purpose. It prevents bacteria from building up on the surface of the first mineral, so it can fight bacteria longer. Little particles of this mineral enter the pool where it also prevents algae from growing. So with the mineral purifying system, there's a 1-2 punch, bacteria elimination and algae prevention. But it doesn't stop there. A third mineral in the mix helps protect your pool against low pH. To supplement the bacteria-fighting job of the minerals taking place inside the reservoir, you'll need to add a non-chlorine shock or small amount of chlorine to your pool. The shock acts as an insurance policy for your pool against any remaining bacteria. At the beginning of every pool season, your pool has to be balanced. Instructions for balancing your pool can be found in your manual. After your pool water is properly balanced, add a chlorine shock to the pool to rid it of all contaminants. Again, see your manual for guidance. There are just 5 steps to keeping your pool water clean with either no chlorine or low chlorine. Let's look at the no chlorine option first. Because you don't want any water running through the cycler while you're inserting or removing a reservoir or pack, check to make sure your pump is shut off before you start. Then, turn the control dial on the cycler to the pack removal setting and open up the side drain to relieve any pressure. Place the ring-shaped tool that came with your cycler around the cap and turn it counterclockwise. When you remove the cap, you'll see the O-ring inside. It's important to check the O-ring to make sure it's clean and debris-free. Then lubricate it with the silicone-based lubricant supplied with your cycler. Don't use petroleum-based lubricants like Vaseline. They can break down the rubber and make cap removal nearly impossible. Your O-ring will last longer if you lubricate it every time you put in a new reservoir. In fact, we recommend to maintain a good seal, you remove the cycler cap and lubricate the O-ring every couple of months. After removing the reservoir from its box, pull out the flow control pack found inside and set it aside. Holding the empty reservoir by the finger holes, lower it into the cycler by lining the slot along its side with the fin inside the cycler. Rotate the reservoir back and forth gently until it nests properly. You can tell by feel when it's seated correctly. Your mineral reservoir should last up to 6 months. It's important to remember that once activated by contact with water, the key mineral that controls the purifying process only works for 6 months. You can't save it from season to season. Now put the flow control pack that you removed earlier back into the reservoir by lining up the leg of the pack with the small opening inside. Lower the pack in and gently twist it back and forth until you feel it lock securely into place. Once it's in place, the flow control pack acts like a dam, diverting all the water that enters the cycler through the minerals in the reservoir, maximizing the elimination of bacteria. Now put the cap back on the cycler, tightening it gently, by hand. Be careful not to over-tighten it. Then set the dial. When purifying your pool without chlorine, we suggest that you set the dial to maximum to maximize the water's exposure to minerals. If necessary, use the tool supplied with your cycler to help you turn it. Now there's only one more thing to do. Add a non-chlorine shock to boost the bacteria-fighting power of the mineral purifying system. We recommend the Oxygen Plus non-chlorine shock with its built-in clarifier. Ask your dealer for the brand of non-chlorine shock he sells. Add the shock by walking around the perimeter of your pool as you pour to disperse the additive evenly. Always add the amount recommended on the label for your size pool. Most people shock their pool 2 to 3 times a week, depending on pool use, recent rainfall, and water temperature. And that's it. Once or twice through and you'll be purifying like a pro, and without chlorine. Just remember to refer to your instruction manual if you have any questions. Now let's talk about your second option with the mineral purifying system using just a small amount of chlorine. The first 2 steps are identical to the no chlorine option we just covered. Remember, they were lubricating the O-ring and installing a reservoir. In step 3 of the no chlorine option, we inserted a flow control pack into the reservoir. For the low chlorine option, we'll put a low chlorine pack in the reservoir instead. Before doing so, you need to cut off its base. Let me show you how. Have a hacksaw or serrated knife handy. Look for the indentation in the base of the pack. It's designed as a cutting guide. Line up the blade on the groove of the indentation and cut using long, even strokes. You want to make sure that the cut is clean without rough edges. The opening in the base should have a nice oval shape. If it's pinched together, it could restrict the flow of water and lower chlorine output into your pool. With the open ends down, shake the pack gently to make sure the chlorine tablets are distributed into the tower areas. Then lower it into the reservoir, lining up the small leg on the pack with the small opening in the reservoir and the large leg with the large opening. Rotate the pack back and forth until it nests properly. Then put the cap back on, tightening it gently, and you're ready to set the dial. The dial setting for the low chlorine option is different than for no chlorine because with this option you're doing 2 things at once, exposing water to minerals and dispensing chlorine. Depending on the size of your pool, pump size, and run time, your dial setting should be between 4 and 7 for above-ground pools and between 3 and 6 for in-ground pools. There's a chart in your manual that provides guidelines for an initial setting. Take regular chlorine readings during the first few weeks your pool is operating and adjust the dial up or down by 1/2 settings to raise or lower your reading until it's consistently between 0.5 and 1 parts per million. That's it. Your low chlorine pack should be replaced every 2 to 3 weeks, and you should add a non-chlorine shock like Oxygen Plus once a week. Soon you'll be enjoying the benefits of an eco-friendly pool care system. If you have any questions, first refer to your instruction manual, then check with your pool dealer, and finally call our customer service line at 1-800-222-0169. We'll be happy to help. Enjoy your pool. You'll find the Frog Mineral System will make its maintenance carefree.